everybody. Thanks for joining us here. We've got a really cool project. You guys might recognize this bike. My buddy Greg Hitchko has been working on this thing for a long time, and we finally got a chance to test it. I want to talk, Greg, a little bit about, first of all, the why, where this thing came from and why you decided to rebuild this 99 KX250 in this livery. Kind of what was your motivation for this?
Sure. So after my throwback two-stroke garage build shootout project, I was just looking for a nice, clean two-stroke to ride. I wasn't even actually looking for a project bike to build. So found the bike on Facebook Marketplace. It was a really cherry 99 KX250, pretty much all OEM. And I told my wife, I was like, listen, I'm just gonna buy this bike. It's a little bit on the pricey side. It was during COVID, so I paid a beautiful COVID price of $5,000 for the bike. Probably had about 15 to 20 hours on it. Told my wife wasn't gonna build it or anything, and then I got on a couple of the forums. I found some ProCircuit triple clamps for the forks. I got diving a little bit deeper into the forums about all these like rare ProCircuit carbon fiber parts that you can buy for it, and the rest is history.
It's a slippery slope when you start buying cool parts.
Don't go down that slope.
So 99, you know, obviously this brings back a lot of memories for me. I rode for Mitch in 95, 96, and 97, but I was racing against Nathan Ramsey and Nick Way and those guys on this bike, and Ricky. I wasn't really racing against Ricky. I was out there with him. But, you know, I remember Nate Ramsey winning the title this year in Minneapolis because I won the race, and he finished second behind me and won the championship. I was really happy for Nate, happy for myself, but it was cool. And so I see this bike and all those memories kind of come back right away. What was it about this year that for you was so cool?
So the 99 to pretty much the 02 Kawasaki's, I had previously built an 07 KX250 with an 01 Carmichael Chevy Trucks theme, and I didn't want to do one of those years again, so I wanted to go to the 99 02, and I had never done one of those before. And originally I'm a huge fan of the 2002 Brownie themed bike, so that was the plan the whole time, to do that. My buddy Pete, who I sourced a bunch of these rare ProCircuit parts from, actually we don't even have the seat cover on, you'll see it in the B-roll, but he messaged me one day and he's like, hey, I got a seat cover for a 99. Rumor has it was on Carmichael's bike. You might want to switch up the theme that you're doing. So I was like, all right, Pete, what was the cost of it? And he goes, $400, and I almost about swallowed my tongue. I thought about it for a day or two, and I was like, whatever, let's just do it. So I bought the seat cover, and everything changed from the 02 theme to the 99 theme, and I'm actually really happy that I went that route. So that's kind of how it ended up this way.
It is very cool to see that the older seat, you know, a lot of times graphics in the 90s, the graphic scheme would come onto the seat, and I don't know why we've gone away from that. It's just much more difficult to do, apparently. Maybe it fades off, but you don't see it that often anymore. Even like patches like you see here, we don't see that a lot anymore. So there's a lot of cool parts on this bike, and as I'm sure you've seen it in the video walking around, but let's talk a little bit about the decision to even ride it. You know, I'm in the middle of a 1986 YZ125 rebuild, and my initial, when I bought it, I was like, oh, I want something to go do some vintage racing on, so this is perfect. And then you start, you know, powder coat the frame, the motor's completely all new bottom end. Mitch did a cylinder spec that was like Scott Burnworth and, you know, like the factory Yamaha guy's spec at the time. And it's turning into this really cool bike that I'm actually spending more money on than I want to. And I'm having this struggle, like, do I really want to go beat this up at some vintage races? And I think, you know, I talked to a lot of guys, Spencer Luzak and other guys who put a lot of money into builds, Dave Allen, and we all kind of have this inner monologue argument of, do I want to just sell this? Do I even want to put this in the dirt? I don't want to get this thing dirty. Do I hang it on the wall? What do you do? And I mean, you and I were talking a little bit about it. Take us through your decision to even get this thing into the dirt.
Well, it's a long process to build something like this. So it took me a year and a half to like source the parts and get parts sent out for coatings, powder coat, the suspension, the ProCircuit, everything. And then seeing everything just laid out on the table when you're in the middle of it, it's like, man, what did I do to myself, you know? And then as you start throwing parts back at the bike, man, it just starts coming to life. It's like, it's really awesome to look at, and you just sit back in your garage and you're like, dang, how the heck am I supposed to swing a leg over this thing and ride it? And like you were saying, ProCircuit ported the cylinder, you do all this work to the engine, you throw these parts at the engine specifically, and I think if you weren't going to ride it, I wouldn't do that personally, like do all that work to the motor. I'd just build it back OEM, and then you just, have the theme on the outside. But if you're going that extra step, getting the suspension set up for you, you're doing the extra motor work, it's like, you might as well bring it out here and ride it.
Beat it up.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, beat it up.
We didn't get it that dirty today, so.
No, we were gentle with it,
Yeah.
but let's talk a little bit about it. I mean, I'm a little out of practice. I haven't ridden in 5 months, so this was kind of my first time back on a bike, and he's got a tall seat because he's significantly taller than I am, and tall bars. So it was a little kind of uncomfortable for me, and I'm a little rusty anyway, but it was so fun just feeling like when I would get a straightaway that was kind of smooth and I could just get into it and shift a couple gears. This thing sounds so nasty. He went by and had Mitch jet it, and it's perfect, right? The way this thing runs was perfect. And, coming out of a turn and like kind of just blipping the throttle, revving it out in the air a little bit. Those things you just can't, two strokes are just so damn fun.
Yeah, I don't do the bike justice. You definitely do the bike justice. And just listening to you out there, it's how crispy it was. That was really my main concern, how the engine was going to run, because I was the one that built the engine, after I got all the parts for it. The ergos obviously aren't set up for you. I prefer the tall seat. I didn't want to ride with the Ricky Carmichael seat cover just because I didn't want to, mess up the flames a little bit more, or
paid $400 for
tear
it.
A patch. Why'd you remind me, man?
Put that on the wall.
So the Renthal 997. So it's a little bit taller of a setup, but to me, the tall, firm seat foam makes it feel like more of a modern bike. So you kind of got this old school two-stroke theme for me with a modern bike feel. So it's all preference. And
yeah, for sure. And some of the things I noticed, it's got steel braided brake lines, so the brakes worked really well, like almost a little too much at times. But like good handling. For me, it was a little bit tough to get it into a turn just because it was so tall. Like I felt like I like that kind of pocketed seat where I can kind of lay the thing over. But that's, again, just set up for you. But the funnest part for me was just getting this thing going, where I try to find smooth dirt and just grab gears and go. And in my helmet, I'm smiling just because of the sound of it and smelling the exhaust when we were warming it up. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the good stuff.
Can't complain there.
So I was really stoked with it. And again, it's not really to, critique and break down. We were just sort of going out there to have a good time on it.
Exactly.
And appreciate the work you put into this thing.
Yep. And, this whole thing, I live 32 hours away from here. So driving across country with 2 under 2 just wasn't happening. So I have to thank Moto Shippers for getting this thing out to California and even giving me a chance to ride it with you guys. We displayed it at Anaheim 2 Supercross, at Legends and Heroes. So huge thanks to them for helping me out even getting this bike here, because otherwise it just wasn't even happening. So.
Well, it's awesome. And I don't know that unless you've ever refurbished a bike kind of older like this, if you can really appreciate the work, the money, and the effort that goes into it, but you kind of get emotionally invested into it. And so I tried my best not to scuff it up at all. I hope we did you justice today, and it was super fun having a ride on it, so I appreciate it.
No, thank you guys very much. I know when I came to you with the project idea, like a little over a year ago now, you're like, oh yeah, no question about it. And you're a ProCircuit guy too, so I know we had questions on whether you could be on the bike or not, and there was, to me, you need to be on this bike.
Well, the timing worked out just right for that, and we sure had a blast. If you guys want to see, if you missed the whole process of him rebuilding this, you can go back to his YouTube page or Instagram page, Greg Hitchko, and just follow along, because if you're into the minutia of it and breaking the motor apart and all that goes into building it back together and just every little detail of it, you did a really great job chronicling all that. And he's a fun follow on Instagram, lots of cool retro bike stuff. And anyway, huge thanks to you for letting us have a spin on it.
For sure.
So.
Yeah, back on my channel, I got everything, the complete engine teardown step-by-step, engine rebuild step-by-step. I tear the suspension down. So I try to do a little bit of fun. I add some how-to in there, as well as kind of like do a fun build series with it. And you guys will be able to see all the rare carbon fiber pieces, all the ProCircuit pieces that are just literally almost impossible to find. One of my buddy Robert, he was telling me that I missed the gravy train of these rare ProCircuit parts by about a year and a half. So it was a struggle to find them. I paid really good money for them. I've had people ask me, you know, would you ever sell the bike? What would you do with it? Financially, I probably wouldn't make out if I just sold the bike as one piece. I would have to part it out selfishly.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Make him an offer though. Anything's got a price.
Exactly. Everything is for sale. So.
Well,
yeah.
cool. Well, thanks so much, man. This has been a really fun day, and I hope you guys appreciate it. We're going to maybe try to do some stuff in the future, and we've kind of done some short little bits of his videos along the way, and maybe there's more projects in the future.
I'm down for that.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. We appreciate it, and stay tuned. Lots more as always. See ya.
Thank you, guys.
If you like this video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos, comment what you thought, and share it with your friends.